Ben Affleck didn't fail at love once. He failed at the same relationship over and over and over again. Different women, different timelines, same emotional ending. Hollywood called it bad timing. Fans called it fate. Tabloids called it drama. But none of those explanations go deep enough. Because when someone keeps repeating the same relationship pattern, it's not coincidence. It's unresolved emotional history. This isn't a story about celebrity breakups. It's a story about why some people mistake familiarity for destiny and comfort for healing. In Ben Affleck's love life, the faces changed, but the emotional script stayed the same. This is not about who he loved. It's about why he kept choosing the same kind of love. 140, Wind became known for his relationships. He was known for something else: restlessness. Even at the height of his success, Oscars, box office dominance, cultural recognition, there was a quiet instability underneath it all. Ben didn't struggle to be loved by the world. He struggled to be at peace with himself. Fame arrived early, responsibility arrived late, and emotional grounding arrived inconsistently. What many people didn't see was this: Ben Affleck didn't enter relationships looking for partnership. He entered them looking for relief. Relief from pressure, relief from expectation, relief from the voice in his own head that never fully quieted. This is why his relationships often began intensely. When love becomes a refuge, it carries expectations it can never fulfill. The partner stops being a person and starts becoming a solution, and solutions eventually fail. Long before any public breakup, the pattern had already been set. When internal conflict goes unresolved, external connection is asked to compensate, and no relationship can survive that role forever. Ben Affleck didn't fall in love randomly. He was drawn to a very specific emotional dynamic: strong women, highly visible women, women who could hold space, not just emotionally, but publicly. On the surface, these relationships looked balanced: two successful adults, two powerful names, two lives intersecting. But underneath, something else was happening. Ben wasn't looking for someone to complete him. He was looking for someone to contain him, someone whose presence felt stabilizing, someone whose certainty could quiet his internal noise, someone whose structure could compensate for his lack of emotional grounding. At first, this dynamic felt safe, but safety built on dependence is fragile, because the moment the partner stops providing emotional regulation, the relationship begins to collapse. What appeared to be attraction was often relief. What appeared to be passion was often escape. And what appeared to be love was sometimes a form of self-medication. This is why the relationships felt intense, and why they burned out so quickly. Intensity can mimic intimacy, but it can never replace it. There's a reason people return to the same kind of love, not because it works, but because it feels familiar. For Ben Affleck, familiarity carried comfort. The emotional dynamics didn't surprise him. The roles were already written. The ending, subconsciously, was expected. And when pain is predictable, it feels safer than uncertainty. This is the quiet trap of repeating relationships. You don't choose them because they're healthy. You choose them because they feel known. Growth demands discomfort. Repetition offers recognition. And for someone already exhausted by inner conflict, recognition feels easier than change. So the cycle continues, not out of weakness, but out of emotional habit. At some point, every refuge collapses, not because love disappears, but because it can no longer carry the weight placed on it. For Ben Affleck, this was the moment when familiarity turned into frustration. The very relationships that once felt stabilizing began to feel suffocating. What once soothed his inner chaos started reflecting it back to him. The expectations grew heavier, the roles became fixed, and the emotional distance widened. Partners became mirrors, and what Ben saw in those mirrors wasn't comfort. It was everything he had been trying to avoid. This is when the cycle always repeated. Withdrawal, numbing, escape. Sometimes through work, sometimes through isolation, sometimes through self-destructive habits. Love, once again, was asked to wait while unresolved pain took center stage. And when a relationship reaches this phase, it doesn't end in one dramatic moment. It erodes, quietly, gradually, until there's nothing left to hold on to. Not all relationship failures come from incompatibility. Some come from self-sabotage. When intimacy gets too close, old wounds get activated. And for Ben Affleck, closeness often triggered fear, not comfort. Fear of exposure, fear of dependency, fear of being truly seen. So subconsciously, distance became protection. Arguments escalated, withdrawal followed, connection fractured. Not because love wasn't present, but because vulnerability felt unsafe. This is the paradox of repeating love stories. The deeper the connection becomes, the stronger the urge to escape. And escape, over time, looks exactly like failure. This story isn't rare. That's why it resonates. Ben Affleck's relationships reflect something many people experience, just without cameras. We repeat dynamics we haven't healed. We return to emotions we recognize. We confuse intensity with connection. And when the relationship ends, we blame timing, partners, or circumstances. Rarely do we question the pattern itself. Love karma isn't punishment. It's repetition asking for awareness. Patterns don't repeat to punish us. They repeat to be understood. In Ben Affleck's love life, karma wasn't about fate or bad luck. It was about unresolved emotional work. Each relationship ended differently. Each partner was unique, but the internal dynamic stayed the same. Because until the source of instability is addressed, love will always be asked to compensate, and love was never meant to do that. Karma in this story isn't dramatic, it's subtle. It appears as familiarity, as attraction, as the feeling of this time will be different. But without self-awareness, different people simply activate the same wounds. The lesson isn't that Ben Affleck couldn't love. The lesson is that love cannot heal what we refuse to face alone. Until peace is built internally, relationships will remain temporary shelters, not lasting homes.